When did pretending to be someone else lead to chaos, hilarity, or a huge turning point? The fake HR rep who ended a marriage. Okay, so this happened when I was working at a small accounting firm where everyone knew everyone's business, which means everyone also thought they knew everyone's business. For context, I was the quiet guy in the corner cubicle who nobody talked to unless their printer jammed and they needed someone good with computers. I wasn't good with computers, I just knew how to turn them off and back on. Anyway, we had this new guy named Tyler, who was basically a golden retriever in the body of a CrossFit bro. Loud, cheerful, and so aggressively friendly that he made you exhausted just by existing. He also had a habit of flirting with literally anything that breathed. We're talking coworkers, clients, delivery drivers, the Roomba, everything. And he did it all while wearing a wedding ring. So one day during lunch, I overhear one of the interns crying in the break room because someone keeps leaving weird notes in her desk. I ask who. She says Tyler. And I'm like, no shock there. But before I can even react, she says she already reported it to HR. Problem is, we didn't have an HR department. We had Linda, the 73-year-old office manager, who still thinks the cloud is a weather phenomenon. Turns out she emailed HR company Namecom, which didn't exist, and guess who made it exist? Me. Months earlier, I created it because I wanted a spam folder for invoices. That's it, I forgot about it. So I log into the inbox expecting spam and see 19 emails from employees reporting everything from creepy notes to Tyler making whispering noises behind women when they bent down to pick up paper. I'm talking full-on predator energy. I don't know what possessed me, but I responded. As HR, very professionally. 2. Thank you for your message. We take this very seriously. Please provide documentation, blah blah blah. Suddenly, the floodgates opened. Screenshots, photos, even a video of him sniffing someone's hair like he was taking a soul sample. Even Linda emailed HR to complain about Tyler breathing too close to the fax machine. At this point, I had two choices. 1. Confess and get fired. Or 2. Lean in. Guess which one I chose? I wrote Tyler an official HR warning. Typed up a fake company form, BCC'd it to the CEO. Told him HR was investigating inappropriate workplace conduct. This man panicked, like shaking hands, pale face. Calling his wife 6 times in 1 hour. Panicked. Turns out surprise, he'd pulled the exact same crap at his previous job, and his wife threatened to leave if it happened again. 3 days later, she showed up at the office, handed him divorce papers in front of everyone, and said, HR already told me everything, good luck explaining the rest. He cried so hard he hyperventilated and had to be escorted outside by the CEO who thought HR had gone rogue. Meanwhile, I was in my cubicle pretending to adjust my monitor brightness. Tyler quit the next morning. No one ever found out HR was me. And yes, I kept the inbox active just in case someone else needed justice. The wedding photographer, who wasn't a photographer. I accidentally became a wedding photographer. And by accidentally, I mean I lied, panicked, and then tripled down until the universe punished me in the most poetic way possible. It started when this girl I barely knew, like she used to sit behind me in high school English 10 years ago, posted on Facebook, begging for a last-minute wedding photographer. Everyone was busy, I should have scrolled past. But she wrote, "We just need someone who knows their way around a camera." And I, well, had a camera. A cheap one. I used to take pictures of my cat wearing seasonal outfits. Someone commented, "Try asking OP, they take great pictures." That was a bold-faced lie. My pictures were aggressively mediocre, but it was too late. She messaged me instantly, "Can you do it? We'll pay $1,200. I said, "Of course I do weddings all the time." I had never even photographed a birthday party. For the next week, I binged YouTube videos titled things like Top 5 Wedding Photography Mistakes That Will Ruin Your Life. I memorized poses, I practiced fake confidence in the mirror. I whispered to myself, "You are a professional. You are talented. You are not a fraud." The wedding day comes and everything is going weirdly well. The lighting is beautiful. The couple looks like Pinterest models and I'm mentally high-fiving myself every 10 minutes. Then the groom's mother pulls me aside. She whispers, "You're the only person here I can trust, follow me." Before I can explain that I am in fact the least trustworthy person in the room, she drags me to the bridal suite. Inside, she shows me the groom's phone left unlocked with messages from another woman, saying stuff like, "I can't wait for you to call it off," and "I thought you said you were telling her today." The mom asks me to photograph the messages, photograph the groom's infidelity at his own wedding, so I do it, because at this point, I'm in too deep, and also because the bride has been nothing but kind and deserves the truth. Fast forward, ceremony starts. Bride walks down the aisle. Right as they reach the altar, the mom shouts, "Stop, check the photos." Every single guest turns to me, the fake photographer who just wanted $1,200 and maybe a free slice of cake. The groom stammers. The bride looks confused. The mom grabs my camera, flips to the pictures, and holds them up like evidence in a courtroom. Gasps, screaming chaos. The bride slaps him so hard the microphone picks it up. He tries to accuse me of photoshopping the images, but everyone laughs because they think I'm some kind of seasoned professional who doesn't have time for that level of drama. The wedding is canceled on the spot. The bride thanks me for saving her life. The mom hugs me like I'm her new daughter. I get paid double for emotional trauma. To this day, none of them know I had no idea what I was doing. And yes, I still take pictures of my cat. The fake priest incident of 2017. I swear I'm not a bad person. I'm just incredibly stupid in very specific ways. Back in 2017, my cousin was getting married in this tiny rural church in the middle of nowhere. Their actual priest got into a car accident the night before. Don't worry, he survived. And they were left without anyone to officiate. Total panic. My cousin is crying. Her mother is crying. The wedding planner is crying at one point. Even the caterer cried for some reason. Then my aunt suddenly looks at me and goes, "You can do it." Now I'm a middle-aged man with a beard, glasses, and the unfortunate habit of wearing black suits to everything. Apparently that was enough for her to decide I looked like a priest. I said no. Repeatedly, loudly. Then someone said, "It won't be legal anyway, it's just for show." And that felt like a loophole. So my dumbass agreed. I spent 45 minutes in a bathroom stall watching YouTube videos titled, "How to Officiate a Wedding for Dummies." I practiced the lines. I tried to remember the order of service. I even rehearsed that little hand gesture priests do when blessing people. I walked out feeling like a medieval wizard who had learned one spell and prayed no one asked for another. The ceremony begins. The music plays. The bride walks down the aisle looking radiant and absolutely unaware that the man waiting up front is not a man of God, but a man who once set a microwave on fire, heating up soup. I start strong. Real strong. Voice, calm. Hands steady. Someone whispered, "He's so professional," and I nearly fainted. Then I reached the vows. My mind went blank, completely empty, like God himself had unplugged me. So I improvised. Badly, I said, "Marriage is well, it's like, two trees. Yes, trees. Growing together. Sometimes the wind blows, but the roots do something meaningful." People nodded, as if I had said something wise. Then I told them to turn to page 14, even though there were no books. Some people actually pretended to look for one. Then came the disaster. Somehow I accidentally called the bride by the groom's mother's name. Twice. A murmur rippled through the crowd. The groom's mom looked proud. The bride looked confused. The groom looked like he was reconsidering everything. But the worst part? The moment that still wakes me up at night, I forgot to say, "You may kiss the bride." Instead, I nervously blurted out, "You may proceed." Proceed? Where to what? Like a boarding announcement. They kissed anyway, thank God, but the whole audience was laughing. Even the photographer had to put the camera down. Later that night, my cousin hugged me and said it was the most memorable wedding ever. To this day, half the extended family still thinks I'm an ordained minister. I have never corrected them. I pretended to be my brother's lawyer and accidentally became one online. Okay, listen, before anyone judges me, I want you to know I did not set out to impersonate an attorney. It just kind of happened, like a slow-moving disaster rolling downhill until it hits a gas station. So my younger brother got into this absolutely stupid parking ticket fiasco. He parked in a red zone for literally 30 seconds to pick up a DoorDash order, and because our town is run by ticket-happy gremlins, he got slapped with a $450 fine. He panicked because he thought this meant he would go to jail or something, which is ridiculous, but he was crying so hard he couldn't breathe. To calm him down, I wrote an email to the parking office. I used some fancy words. I googled like erroneously issued and lack of legal standing and mitigating circumstances. I signed it attorney representing brother's name, a Lockwood-esque. I don't know why I didn't mean to my fingers, just did it. I immediately regretted it, but then I forgot about it. 2 days later, the ticket was dismissed. My brother told literally everyone that his lawyer sibling saved him. And because my family cannot keep secrets, even if you held them hostage somehow, this mutated into the rumor that I had secretly become a lawyer and didn't want the attention. It would have died. It should have died. But then my aunt asked me for legal advice, and I panicked instead of saying, I am not even close to qualified. I gave her the most generic advice humanly possible. Document everything. Next thing I know, she posts on Facebook about how her brilliant lawyer nephew is helping her navigate a landlord dispute. I woke up to 23 messages from random cousins asking legal questions. Someone wanted to know how to get full custody of their dog in a breakup. Someone else wanted tax advice. That one I refused on principle. One person asked if their neighbor trimming a tree branch was grounds for litigation. I kept saying, I'm not really a lawyer, but everyone thought I was being humble. Then, this is where it turns into a sitcom. My mom gave someone my email, someone who needed representation, a grown man with a real case, a complicated one, a potentially expensive one. He sent a wall of text explaining a contract dispute and ended it with, looking forward to working with you, counselor. Counselor, counselor. I tried to ignore it, but then he called me, and left a voicemail referring to me as Mr. Lockwood-esque. I freaked out so hard I couldn't breathe. I called my brother and yelled at him. He apologized. Then I told him to fix it. So he posted a family group message saying, OP is not a lawyer. And my uncle replied, real lawyers are forbidden to admit their lawyers outside of legal settings, so we understand. I gave up. I accepted my fate. I became the family's imaginary lawyer. Then the universe delivered karma. That man with the contract dispute. Turns out he worked for a law firm and was testing me because he felt something was off in my emails. He sent me a final message that said, I suggest you stop impersonating legal professionals. People get arrested for that. I have never stopped sweating since. But the funniest part, the parking department emailed me again last week asking if I'd be willing to serve as a volunteer reviewer for disputed citations. So now I'm kind of an honorary municipal lawyer. Whatever. I'm never writing an email with big words again. I pretended to be the landlord for one phone call and accidentally rebuilt the neighborhood. This one still spirals me into an existential crisis sometimes. About 4 years ago, I lived in this tiny apartment complex run by a landlord who I'm convinced was 3 raccoons in a trench coat. Rent raised every month, broken washers, mold, leaks, everything. The man was a ghost. You could not catch him. The office was literally always out for lunch. One day, the upstairs neighbors were screaming, again, and a guy from across the hall knocked on my door asking if I had the landlord's new number because the old one was disconnected. For some reason, maybe sleep deprivation, maybe delusion, I said, oh, I can call him for you. I grabbed my phone, stepped into my apartment, and did the dumbest thing I've ever done. I pretended to dial someone. Then I pretended to talk to someone. Then I pretended to be someone. Hello, this is Randall Property Manager. How can I help you? I did a voice. A full-on voice. A weird deep one that didn't sound like me at all. The neighbor explained the noise complaint as Randall said I'd handle it. Everyone was happy, but I made a mistake. A fatal one. I did it too well, because now everyone wanted to talk to Randall. Noise complaints, broken appliances, missing packages, parking disputes, someone wanting a new key, someone wanting a rent extension before I knew it. I was running an entire apartment complex through text messages and fake voicemails, and I liked it. I fixed things, handled disputes, helped people. It felt like being Batman, but for housing issues. Then, because the building was falling apart, I, as Randall, filed maintenance requests to the actual property company, Real Ones, with very dramatic wording, and they listened. They sent a whole team. They fixed the washers, plumbing lights, everything. People cheered when maintenance trucks showed up. Someone baked Randall cookies. Months pass, rent stops increasing, repairs get done. The neighborhood genuinely improves. Then one day, someone knocks on my door, corporate management. They wanted to meet Randall because he had been so incredibly helpful. I nearly passed out. I told them Randall worked remotely. They said, "Great, we'll Zoom him." I panicked, pretended my internet went out, and hid under my bed like a feral animal. Eventually, the real landlord returned from wherever he had been, the hospital, another dimension, and management discovered there was no Randall. They confronted him. He denied everything. They believed he was lying. He got fired. Corporate sent a letter thanking the anonymous whistleblower who reported the mismanagement. To this day, nobody knows it was me. Sometimes I walk past that renovated apartment complex and think I pretended to be a landlord and accidentally became the best one they ever had. The night I accidentally became Detective Alvarez and solved a bar crime. Alright, so I swear on my mother's arthritis medication that this was not supposed to be a whole event. I just wanted nachos. That's it. Just nachos and a beer and maybe watching whatever game the bar had on because my cable had died again. Thank you, lightning storms and 1970s wiring. Instead, I somehow became Detective Alvarez of County PD for a whole damn night. So here's the situation. I walk into this dive bar I don't normally go to. It's one of those places that still smells like cigarettes, even though nobody's been allowed to smoke inside for 15 years. I'm sitting by myself, minding my nachos, when this very agitated man in a hoodie sits next to me and goes, "Are you Alvarez?" Now here's the problem. My real name is not Alvarez, not even close. But I'm a people pleaser with the spine of a wet noodle, so out of pure reflex I said, "Yeah." Instant regret. The guy immediately hands me a crumpled envelope and says, "We didn't mean for it to get this far. You didn't see me." Then he leaves, just sprints out like he heard God calling him home. So obviously, now I'm panicking. I open the envelope. It has $1,400 in cash and a handwritten note that literally says, "He knows, take care of it." Fantastic. Now I'm sitting there like a man who accidentally clicked buy now on a suspicious website. Meanwhile, the bartender, who looks like she fought a lawnmower and won, strolls over and goes, "You Alvarez?" And I don't know why, but at that point I just committed. "Yes," I say, again, as if I'm capable of anything except overwatering plants. Turns out someone stole the owner's motorcycle earlier that evening and Detective Alvarez was apparently supposed to show up to review the camera footage. The real guy must have gotten stuck in traffic or decided he didn't get paid enough to care. So they pull up the footage on this ancient little monitor and hand me a beer while I work. And because I once binged 4 seasons of NCIS in a single flu week, I'm out here pretending to analyze things. Except it turns out the footage is actually very clear. Like unnecessarily high resolution for a bar that can't afford clean glasses. And I recognize the thief it's hoodie guy, the envelope guy. So now I'm in a pickle. Do I tell them? Do I vanish into the night with my nachos and mob money? I decide on a third option. I describe the thief exactly, but say he ran toward the police station. The whole bar erupts in chaotic yeehaw energy, and 3 dudes sprint outside to help track him. Meanwhile, I walk outside, toss the envelope down a sewer grate. I panic disposed it, then drive home at 5 under the speed limit because I was 1 inhaled breath away from a heart attack. Next morning, news reports say the police caught a known local thief who stole multiple items, including a motorcycle. They praised Detective Alvarez for coordinating community efforts. To this day, if I go back to that bar, the bartender calls me detective. I have never corrected her. I pretended to be the CEO's daughter to expose a department and accidentally got promoted. Okay, so I need everyone to understand, I did not want to do this. All I wanted was for my teammates to stop throwing their work onto me like I was the office recycling bin. But our department was a hot mess run by a middle manager who thought leadership meant taking credit when we succeeded and vanishing into the vents like a cryptid when we failed. Anyway, one day, I accidentally overheard said manager bragging about how nobody checks anything, and corporate is too disconnected to notice his team doesn't even work half the time. So, a dumb idea formed, a reckless one, I haven't slept enough for 6 months and caffeine is 80% of my blood idea. The CEO had a daughter named Emily who was interning in another department. Nobody in mine had met her, except I had, once, in the elevator. We look absolutely nothing alike. But these people didn't know that. So on a particularly hellish Monday, I walked into the office wearing nicer clothes and said very calmly, "Hi, I'm Emily. I'm just shadowing different departments for the week." Guys, the room froze. My manager straightened so fast he almost gave himself scoliosis. I asked to see how workflow is managed. Everyone panics. Suddenly they're all typing, emailing, sweating, practically inventing productivity. I asked to shadow team dynamics. They start having meetings, real ones, with agendas, and notes, and accountability. The manager, he is dying. I am thriving. Fast forward, I spend 2 days collecting data on how dysfunctional everything really is. I take pictures, logs, screenshots, the works. I felt like a raccoon stealing shiny evidence of corporate negligence. On day 3, I walk into HR and say, "Hi, so I'm not actually Emily. Here's everything wrong with the department." HR nearly combusted. But here's the twist. Instead of firing me, they quietly fired the manager, restructured the department, and gave me a raise for initiative. They also politely asked me to never impersonate family members of the CEO ever again, which I think is fair. I catfished a catfisher and accidentally started a town-wide scandal. I live in a tiny town where gossip travels faster than our single ambulance. So when a local guy started catfishing girls using pictures of a random fitness model, everyone kinda knew except the girls he targeted. My cousin got caught up in it and she was devastated. So naturally, I decided to help. In the dumbest way possible. I made a fake profile too, not to flirt, just to bait him. I use pictures of a raccoon-themed meme influencer because why not? I figured if he believed this was a real woman, that was on him. Spoiler, he did. He very much did. He started confessing all sorts of stuff to me, like how he juggles multiple fake accounts, how he manipulates girls, how he got free food delivered to him by pretending to be stranded. Just an entire buffet of stupidity. Well, I screenshotted everything, not to expose him. My plan was just to scare him into leaving my cousin alone, but then my aunt borrowed my laptop to check her Facebook and accidentally clicked the folder labeled, "Absolutely do not open." Within 20 minutes, the screenshots had been forwarded to half the population. People printed them out, highlighted them, posted them on telephone poles. Someone made a slideshow and projected it on the wall inside the diner. He became a town meme. He moved away 3 weeks later. The twist. People kept messaging me, a raccoon meme girl, asking for advice, so eventually I just leaned into it and became the unofficial town agony aunt to this day. Some people still think I'm a real person who just happens to only post raccoon memes. I'm too deep to correct them now. I pretended to be a therapist for 20 minutes and accidentally fixed a marriage. So I need everyone to know up front. I am not a therapist. I am not even therapist adjacent. I am a barista who once read half a self-help book and thought it made me wise. Anyway, I work in this coffee shop next to a couple's therapist's office. Both places share a back hallway. One day, the actual therapist apparently called in sick, but nobody told the receptionist. So I'm in the hallway changing a trash bag when a woman comes rushing up to me like she's been crying for 6 hours straight. She goes, "Are you Dr. Feldman? We're a little early." And instead of correcting her like any normal functioning adult, would I panic and nod? I nod as if I have a degree, as if I can legally advise anyone. She pulls me into the waiting room where her husband is sitting with the posture of a man awaiting execution. They're both staring at me like I'm about to deliver salvation. So what do? I just go with it. We sit in the empty office. I somehow knew where the light switch was the universe was enabling me. And they start talking about how they feel unheard, unseen, misunderstood. And honestly, they were incredibly normal problems. So I just did what I do when consoling customers who spill lattes and cry about midterms. I listened, I asked clarifying questions, I repeated stuff back to them like, so what I'm hearing is, guys, they ate it up. At one point, the wife literally said, "This is the first time I've felt validated in months." And I almost cried because I was literally just improvising basic empathy. Then the husband reaches over and takes her hand and says, "Thank you for saying that." They both tear up. I tear up. The office ficus probably teared up. After about 20 minutes, I excused myself by saying, "I'd like you two to sit with this breakthrough," which sounded very therapy-ish. I bolted full sprint out the back. 2 weeks later, they come into the coffee shop glowing like freshly microwaved burritos and tell me, "We switched to a new therapist, but we just want to thank you. You saved our marriage." Me, the barista who barely knows how to save money. They still come in every Friday and tip excessively. I've never told them the truth. I will take this to my grave. My best friend thought I was an anonymous fan page. I became her enemy, and then her only true friend. You know how sometimes you do something dumb for a good reason, and then it becomes a nightmare you can't escape? Yeah, that's this story. My best friend in high school wanted to be a singer. Not just a singer like a whole star. She made YouTube videos, TikToks, all of it. But people online can be brutal, and some of the comments wrecked her confidence. So I made her a secret fan account. Just to hype her up, just to drown out the negativity. But she started relying on it, depending on it, talking about my one real fan. She was happier, and I couldn't take that away. Then she started confiding in the fan account more than she did in me, telling me, well, fan me, her insecurities, dreams, fears, stuff she never said to my actual face. And here's where I made a mistake that altered our entire friendship. I told her the truth too late. One day she messaged the fan account saying, "I think my best friend doesn't actually believe in me. I think she pities me. It hurts." That crushed me. I wrote back some vague encouragement like, "I'm sure she cares because what else could I do?" But I felt sick. I knew if I didn't tell her soon, it would get worse, except someone else told her first. One of our classmates found me logged in on a school computer and confronted me loudly in the cafeteria in front of half the damn student body. My friend's face. Just shock, betrayal, humiliation. It still punches me in the soul. She didn't talk to me for 2 months. 2 whole months where she spiraled thinking everyone was laughing at her. Then one night she called me sobbing. She said she missed me. She said she wasn't angry. I ran a fan page. She was angry I hadn't trusted her to handle the truth. She said, "You were the only one who believed in me, even when I didn't deserve it." We rebuilt from there. Slowly, carefully, painfully today. She's not a huge star, but she sings at local venues and does voice work and teaches kids music. And sometimes when she posts something she's proud of, she texts me, "I know you're still my #1 fan." And I always reply, "Always," and this time as me. I pretended to be a rival house in a college prank war and accidentally ended the war entirely. So my college had this ongoing prank war between 2 dorm houses, think discount Hogwarts, but instead of spells it was glitter bombs and stolen mascots. I lived in Dorm C, which was neutral territory, a Switzerland of chaos. But one day I overheard the leaders of Dorm A planning a massive prank. They were gonna steal Dorm B's 6-foot inflatable alligator and replace it with a giant cardboard cutout of Guy Fieri holding a spatula. It was beautiful art culture, but I had history with Dorm. They once raided our lounge and replaced all our cereal with uncooked rice. I was still emotionally recovering, so I decided to pretend to be Dorm B, just to mess with them. Just a little. I made a fake group chat called B-House Ops and added random numbers until I had a believable squad. Then I texted Dorm A's prank leader, using a burner app. "We know what you're planning, back off." Dorm A freaked out like rats when the light turns on instead of backing off. They escalated. They planned an even bigger prank involving a fog machine, a goat borrowed from the agriculture program, and a very complicated pulley system. So what did I do next? I pretended to be Dorm A and warned Dorm B. Both dorms became convinced the other had spies. Nobody trusted anyone. Meetings were held. Interrogations happened. People got waterboarded with Capri Suns. Their words, not mine. It got so out of hand that the RA intervened and called a ceasefire meeting. Everyone showed up. Both sides had binders, binders, and that's when my dumbass walks in with popcorn and accidentally sits with the wrong group. The prank leaders from both dorms turned toward me at the same time with the look of people solving a murder mystery board. "Wait." One said, "You're in C. Why are you here?" And someone else goes, "He's the spy reader." The room lost its mind. People yelled. People cried. Someone dramatically threw a binder, I confessed. Not that I had any choice. I explained the whole thing, how I pretended to be both sides, how they'd been fighting phantoms. Silence. And then they all burst into laughter, like uncontrollable. Can't breathe laughter. The war ended that night. They signed a literal treaty. We roasted marshmallows in the quad. To this day, everyone calls me the double agent of Dorm C. I have never been so proud of something so stupid.